definition of love.
Love can be defined as a strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties.
Love can also be defined as an object of attachment or admiration.
But how can we as humans understand the true meaning of love?
We can understand the true meaning of love by looking at the stages of love.
According to an article on Bustle.com, there are 5 stages of love.
Stage 1.
Newlywed.
Stage 2.
Settling in.
Stage 3.
Disappointment, learning, and growth.
Stage 4.
Comfortable.
Stage 5.
Unconditional love.
From the thrill of young love
To those relationships with the partner of your dreams.
To the darkest depths of troubling relationships.
To love that has hit a dead end.
To mourning the loss of your one true love.
We all experience the
seasons of love.
In this performance, all 5 stages of love will be portrayed in various acts and in various ways.
Sources will come from various places, such as the New York Times.
Looking a lot like Christmas by Jason Sheets.
All the Stars Burn Black for Dumbo by Jared Botticelli.
Healthline.com.
I Am Here by Carrie Jones.
Various songs from Taylor Swift.
Demi Lovato.
George Michael.
Falsettos.
And many more not audibly mentioned.
Because while it is important to note that some stories end happily ever after, we must also consider the idea that not all love is good.
Because we want to bring these stories of life, we will be showing all sides of love. There will be subjects mentioned such as cheating, sexting, homophobia, domestic abuse, sexual assault, drug overdoses, car accidents, death, and suicide. If anybody in the audience is uncomfortable with any of the topics mentioned above, you may leave now or at any time and we will not be hurt by that decision.
I would kill for that thrill of first love.
You looked adorable today, you know that?
I could picture him sitting on his bed as we talked. Don't lie to me, my hair was a mess. Complete fail.
Didn't look that way to me, but maybe it's because I'm blinded by how much I like you.
Oh, don't be silly. You know I like you more. We've been talking like that for weeks now, and I just kept waiting for him to make a move, like take me out to the movies or kiss me on my doorstep after the night was done. Instead, he said,
Why don't you send me a pic to prove it?
I must have read that text message 50 times. Was he really one of those sex-crazed guys who only wanted a girl for her body?
My high school love story was a long process of 3 years. I was too much of a coward to ask her out, so we became close friends over those 3 years. But senior year, she finally kicks me. We finally kiss. Then that feeling was gone in me.
That's why I tried to maintain my flirty attitude by sending back a picture, fully clothed. And when he responded with one of his own, it didn't have a touch of humor like mine did.
Like what you see? Now it's your turn.
I stared at my phone, resisting the urge to hurl it at my wall. Did he really want me to take my shirt off for him? I mean, sure, I wanted to date him and wanted his approval. There was a split second where I actually considered the request. But when the idea faded away, I wanted to smack myself. The knowledge that a teenage boy made me question my morals made me queasy. Another text came in.
Are you seriously mad? I'm saying I like your body. It's a compliment.
Really? Because it seems pretty insulting.
I don't see why. I thought you girls liked taking sexy selfies. I mean, Chrissy does it. I figured the rest of her friends would too.
The fact that he brought up my best friend, he knew Chrissy was dubbed that girl at school, all because her boyfriend of 2 years sent her private photos out to everyone. Chrissy wasn't promiscuous. Then he replied again.
I'm sorry, but it's not my fault you're so gorgeous. You can't blame me.
I wasn't in the mood for flirting. We're not even dating, I typed back. I mean, I didn't judge girls who sent news. I just didn't have the desire to join in on the fun.
I fell in love with my best friend's brother. I was angry because I loved him, and I knew he loved me. We argued, and then we didn't talk for months. Our birthdays passed, but I held firm. He could come to me this time, was my logic. Surely he would, right? Sure. Except the part where he died the next week in an accident. It ate at me for years.
I felt like the contents of my stomach were gonna spurt from my mouth, but I wish I could do the same with my brain. That I could empty all the memories I made with Scott over the last few months because they clearly meant nothing. rejecting him felt a million times better than his compliments over my nudes ever would have been.
Last
Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away.
Ever wonder why the characters on Christmas specials have no family? I mean, Rudolph, a loner. Charlie Brown has a whole party without his parents. I'm sure they all have families. It's implied. I guess that's why people assume I have a family. It's implied. So, how'd I end it this way? One word. Homosexuality. In college, I hid it. But then, I met someone. The someone you always dream of meeting. One day after work, Tom asked me out to drinks. I didn't think much of it as a date, but as the seasons changed from autumn to winter to spring, I knew. And when Tom said he loved me, I had no problem loving back.
We could leave the Christmas lights up till January.
This is our place and we make the rules.
And there's the dazzling haze, a mysterious way about you, dear.
Have I known you 20 seconds or 20 years?
So, when I got the courage to tell him 28 months later, I decided it was style. Pizzazz! Christmas dinner. Extended family and all. Okay, everyone, I have something I want to tell you. I know you all say I should date more, and I'm here to tell you I found someone. Actually, we've been dating for almost 3 years. I've never felt so right. So alive! His name is Stop! Freeze frame. Tad gives me a look like he should have played more football with me as a kid. Mom just stares off into space. My sisters look like I just stole their boyfriends.
Peyton posted a picture. He texted and the texts got longer. Christmas slid to New Year's and eventually to an evening watching the stars. I asked him why he texted me. He asked why I responded. We both knew.
That evening I met up with Dad in the living room.
Do you love him?
Yes,
Does he love you?
yes.
Do you envision a future with him?
I certainly hope so.
Son, what do you want me to say? I'm happy? I'm not. You've chosen a difficult lifestyle.
It's not.
I know, it's not a choice. Maybe it's not. Who's to say? But you have forced a choice on me. I can either choose to accept my Bible and reject you, or accept you and reject my Bible. Do you understand what decision you're forcing on this family?
I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew that. I just never dreamed of the horror of that night. Growing up, my father taught me one thing above all others. Never turn your back to the Lord. Father not turning his back to the Lord meant the family turning its back on me. There was one person who didn't turn his back on me, but he did so 3 weeks later. He said so in a note. He said he didn't envision a future for us. Life reduced to a post-it. And that's how I'm here, alone. We are often reduced to two emotions, numbness and rage, and Christmas special and eggnog! But still, it's Christmas. I lit a Christmas candle. It represents hope.
I was
Dancing with the devil, out of control. Almost made it to heaven. It was closer than you know.
I moved from LA to New York with this light and drive as if life was magical. I was going to be fabulous, a force in the fashion industry like I had long imagined, and it was working. Suddenly, he was right in front of me. We were complete strangers.
1 in 3 young people will be in an unhealthy or abusive relationship.
33% of adolescents will fall subject to emotional or physical dating abuse.
I think the turning point came when it was harder to stay rather than to leave because the relationship was making me sick.
He paid attention to me, wanted to be with me all of the time. He truly did love and care for me.
1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men will fall victim to intimate partner violence.
Then, one day his words changed. They were mean and full of demands and insults.
Get rid of that.
Referring to a pimple on my cheek centimeters away.
You better put that on or I'm not walking with you.
Referring to one coat of lip gloss. I fought back. I knew who I was, what I was worth. How dare he say such things to me?
I was in a relationship with a narcissist. Absolutely everything had to be about her. I had to do anything and be everything for her, even when my own health started deteriorating. When you've had enough, you'll know.
His words became stronger.
Nobody will ever love you.
Don't speak unless you're spoken to.
Nobody can stop me.
The days and fights became longer until I always found myself on the floor. I would often ask myself, where did I go? I would run, but somehow never get away. People watched us, and nobody would save me over and over again. So then I became consistent. I obeyed his every command, surrendered to every sexual fight, and eroded with every word. When I always let him back in, I would ask myself, where did I go? My body wasn't mine, my mind wasn't mine. I had no reflection. There was no time, no space for days, months, years. Where did I go?
14% of women will experience stalking by an intimate partner, according to the CDC.
One morning, I noticed my subway card was missing. Last I checked, it was in a brown leather handbag with a large gold buckle, but I didn't have the time. I'd have to worry about it later. Later, it echoed through me like an earthquake, a call from the SVU that must have been a mistake.
Ma'am, are you missing anything?
Yes, that brown leather handbag with a...
Large gold buckle? Ma'am, you need to come to the station immediately.
I was sat down in one of those big interrogation rooms that looked like it came straight off of Law and Order SVU. Cue the montage. His mugshot pieces of sexual crime, my missing handbag, his body, and a terrified woman, and then my own voice from somewhere so deep that I must have blocked it out due to sheer terror. And then silence, except for a little voice that whispered back, "Thank you, God." I collapsed. It was over. Well, at least his part was.
80% of domestic violence crimes involve the use of drugs.
One timeless night, a man said something to me that I cannot remember. I was already drunk, and I found myself running home, crying. I hysterically flung open my apartment doors and stopped in front of a mirror. I looked at my reflection. I looked into her eyes. I knew what I had to do. This was a mission she could not distract me from. I poured another glass of wine and grabbed some muscle relaxers and looked at my reflection. My breath started to relax. I swept away some of the pills until there was maybe 5, 6, 8. I looked at her, filled her mouth, and took a drink. And then I stared back, knowing full and well what had just happened. And then I put her to bed.
The
only thing that's breaking up is my family and me. I'm breaking down.
I am a happy, independent woman. I have a life that I enjoy, and I was very young when I realized that my family had financial constraints. My father earned some money, but it wasn't enough for my family to lead a very comfortable life. My mother was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, as well as other mental disorders, but diagnosis wasn't easy to come by back then. I could never connect on a very intimate level with anyone in my family, be it my mother, father, or elder sister.
It has been a decade of a loveless marriage, and I feel empty, cheated by life even. I've tried to end it multiple times. It feels like me and my partner haven't had any emotional connection in years.
I met Rowan. He seemed like this lively, down-to-earth person, and we soon began seeing each other. Marrying Rowan was one of the worst decisions of my life. Months into my marriage, I realized I wasn't happy. Rowan was a good human being, just not a great husband.
Living in a loveless marriage eats away at your soul and strips you of the essence that is you.
I had wanted a life of my own. I had dreamed of a family that I could connect to. And the very thought of going back to my father's place was unbearable. But here, I felt disrespected and demeaned. I learned what a demon helplessness can be and what mental damage it can cause. Although I did have Alice, Mancy, and Cerie, as well as a neighbor I could confide in, I was afraid to take the first step. Coming out of the life that I had settled for was harder than it seems. I didn't know what the way out of this maze was.
There's nothing happy or satisfying about a loveless marriage. Most people don't want to think that when they say their I do's, that marriage will at some point become hard.
That is when I decided I had to be happy. I had to live. If being happy at that moment meant living alone, then I would do that. It took me months to wrap my head around the fact that I wanted a divorce, because I was afraid of the stigma. My sister was separated. If I too went home, how would people treat my family? Today, I am more confident than ever. I am financially independent enough to support my family. I feel the absence of a partner beside me, and I feel unrestricted and unconfined. I am the only one in charge of my happiness and peace now. I believe that staying with a partner in a loveless marriage because of fear of society causes severe mental damage. It eats away at your confidence. I was lonely. But today, I am happy because I have myself to pick me up every time that I fall. Have faith. It does get better.
I had all and then most of you, some and now none of you. Take me back to the night we met. My wife's name is Brittany. B. I usually just call her B. Me and B have been married almost 3 years now, and we started seeing each other after graduation, and I guess she saw something in me that I didn't see. Still don't. B just does everything for the right reasons. I just love her.
One time you were drunk and you smiled at me and I said, "What?" And you said, "I just like being in a room with you. You make rooms good." I have loved you for so many years and I will never love anybody better.
You know how sometimes you can make one stupid decision? Well, it was a couple months ago. A few of the guys were going out after work. I called B to tell her that I was going to pick her up that night, but she said she wasn't feeling too well and that she just really wanted some tomato juice. She says I should just go ahead and go, though, and then she says,
"I love you, Dumbo."
and hangs up.
I know you've done some things you regret, but then so have I, so don't dwell on them. I am a better person because of your love.
It was me, a few other guys, and Debbie, this new receptionist they hired at the office. I was only going to stay for a drink or two when I noticed Debbie, she's putting her hand on my leg under the table. I don't think a whole lot about it, though, right? That's when I found out that Debbie lives on B&I side of town, so I offered to drive her home, of course, no problem, right?
I'm not afraid of dying, but I am afraid of forgetting you. I hope the feelings that you give me always remain.
So I get to Debbie's house and she says I should really come in for coffee, and I'm thinking I probably shouldn't, right? But B's for sure asleep at this point, so I go in, except this girl, Debbie, she doesn't make any coffee. I'm sure you get the idea. It only takes a few minutes for me to get home, though, because B and I, we don't live very far away. But as soon as I get home, I notice something's wrong. B's car isn't there. It's not in the driveway. But there's a note. A note on the refrigerator. A note on B's little perfect handwriting.
I was feeling a bit better, so I went out to get the tomato juice. Just wanted to let you know in case you got home before I did. I love you, Dumbo.
It's 5:04. I'll always remember that. 5:04, because at 5:04 the phone rings and I'm thinking, gee whiz, thank goodness it's probably just B, and she's calling to say she's got a flat tire and she's spending that at her sister's house. Right, hello?
Are you Brittany Johnson's husband?
Yes, I am. What's going on?
Sir, I am very sorry to have to inform you of this.
And I guess I'm hearing this guy's voice come through the line, but it sounds like someone dead is talking to me. I can't really listen, though, because I have to go down to the police station. I have to go show my ID, and then he takes me down this elevator, and it sort of feels like I'm going straight down to hell or something. He takes me into this big silver room with lots of big silver metal. He pulls back a drawer, he pulls back a sheet, and on that big, cold, silver drawer thing is my B, my Brittany. The girl who helped me pass calculus and named me Dumbo and made me worth something. She's lying there, she's all messed up. Real bad. You know how sometimes you can make one stupid mistake and everything ends up being all your fault? Suddenly you're in some random apartment with some random girl and you go home only to find that your life, your everything was hit by a drunk driver out on her way out for tomato juice I was supposed to buy. One tricky thing for the new love interest is that there's nothing but positive feelings for your late wife. I'm married, my soulmate, she's wonderful and completely irreplaceable. I'm learning that I have to create a new life now. To me, that means I will still find another wonderful woman and love them, not as a replacement, but as someone completely different.
Love is a powerful, messy, complicated subject. Through these 5 stories and 5 stages, we see that love moves as a cycle. We start with our feelings and then end at our till death do us part. Through all of this, we can see how odd love truly is.
Love is such a unique feeling, so let's make it count. Because who knows when our next lover will come around the corner.
Even if one relationship doesn't work out, there's still the opportunity to find new love.
It's important to remember all the relationships we've had, regardless of how they've ended.
Think about all the princesses who had to go through millions of suitors before they found their Prince Charming.
Ultimately, love is a powerful thing. Love is blind. And, well, love can be unkind.
Can I go there?